Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be doing horoscope of one of the greatest spiritual sages of our time. He's a modern day sage of spirituality and consciousness, Dr. Deepak Chopra. That's right. We're going to do his horoscope. And what better way to do his horoscope than to actually have him here in our studios? So he's joining us today. Thank you very much, Dr. Chopra, for coming here and enlightening us with your presence. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. Well, you're very welcome, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, who are you? What? Yes, who are you? Who am I? Okay, well, um, I think I am part of a prism. That is the source energy. And if you take a prism and you rotate it around the room, and the reflections around the wall that are going around thinking that their very self is individual, that their very self is separated from the source, they're wrong. Because as soon as the light turns off, the source brings everything back to itself, and we, the reflection of this prism, go away. We go back to the source. So I think we're just these spiritual beings that are part of this one source energy, and yet we think we're separate. We're not. See, I don't like that, because you were supposed to give me some very lame, mundane answer. And then I was supposed to tell you that you're a consciousness being experiencing a material world in this body that is known as the consciousness suit. Okay, next time I will try to act a bit more dumb. It's just for you, Dr. Chopra. Well, can I continue on with your horoscope? That's okay. Continue on. So let's get started with this horoscope. Well, Deepak Chopra was born with Aquarius Ascendant. Okay, Aquarius Ascendant is ruled by Saturn, and Aquarius Ascendant represents scientific knowledge, knowledge where you're trying to bring things together, extrapolate things, and trying to really search a logical meaning for something. A very scientific mind, very eccentric mind that is just ununderstandable in a way, I can say. I think I just created a new vocabulary. I'm in the presence of greatness. So, anyway, it's a very, hard sign to figure out. Not in terms of like definition, but these folks are really hard to figure out as people, because they're 1 minute this way, the next minute that way. They're very eccentric. 1 minute they'll be talking to you, in 20 minutes they would be like, get away from me. And then the ascendant lord, which is Saturn, is sitting in the 6th house of diseases, of enemies, of obstacles, of litigation, of unprivileged people, small animals. So Saturn, people think, oh my God, ascendant lord is in the Dushtana house. That means he should be doomed. Well, guess what? Saturn is that one planet, and you can go back and watch my videos on Saturn in the 6th, 8th, and 12th house. Saturn in the Dushtana houses does excellent, even as the ascendant lord. And here, being in the 6th house, in the sign of Cancer, took him into medicine, because Cancer is a sign of nourishment, motherly love, hospitality. And being a doctor, in terms of, the 6th house concerns, is about providing nourishment, providing, hospitality to your patient, taking care of them, nurturing them. See, I think that a horoscope is nothing but consciousness at a cellular level. And when you expand your soul to a different horizon, you find nothing but consciousness in you, because all planets are consciousness. And I think all horoscopes have great consciousness in them. Right. Now, can I get back to this thing? I don't mind if you do my horoscope, as long as you add consciousness in it. Just use a couple of vocabulary known as consciousness and spirituality, and I think I will be very happy with it. Thank you. So, Deepak Chopra was born with the Aquarius Ascendant, with Saturn in the 6th house in the sign of Cancer, Moon in the 8th house in the sign of Virgo, and then you have Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, and Sun in the sign of Libra in the 9th house, and you have Venus and Ketu in the 10th house in the sign of Scorpio, while Rahu is in the 4th house. Okay, so that's his horoscope. Now, his horoscope has a very powerful yoga that I've talked about, I think, on my Facebook page. And what he has is something known as Dharma Karma Adapati Yoga. What does this yoga mean? This yoga means life of spirituality and life of enlightenment and life of moksha. Not necessarily moksha, but life of being like a monk, like a sannyasi. Okay. And as you know, Deepak Chopra, he's a spiritual guru. He actually tried being a monk in the past couple of years in the documentary that you see. In the 80s, he was very much, inclined towards spiritualities and gurus and monks, and, he totally changed his profession from being a doctor to an, alternative healer and spiritual guidance. Okay. So that's one of the most significant things that you see in his horoscope. But how did Dr. Chopra became a doctor? From Deepak Chopra became Dr. Deepak Chopra. Okay, so let's take a look at that. See, here's the thing in his horoscope. His Rahu is in the 4th house in the sign of Taurus. And if you look at his moon, it's in the 8th house of surgeries, of, occult and, sudden ups and downs and accidents and, whatnot. But it's in the sign of Virgo. And Virgo is what? That lady holding medicine in one hand and the wheat or whole grain wheat in the other, and she's like a healer. So moon is in a sign of healing, being healer, calculative thinking, very analytical, detail-oriented mind, who's in the 8th house digging for the truth. And look what this moon is doing. This moon is causing a Viprita Yoga, meaning that sudden change of fortune. And why and how is it that he became a doctor just from the moon itself? Well, moon in Virgo is one of the very strong significators of being a doctor. 6th and 8th house are being very strong significators of being a doctor, where moon is. And then Rahu is not just a malefic planet, but his significator of science. He's a scientist, Rahu. And Rahu aspect is on the moon in Virgo. So he became a scientist of medicine, medicinal scientist, which took him in his Rahu Mahadasha to being a doctor, which started from 1965 all the way to 1983. And in that time period, he not only became a doctor, he came to the United States of America. Why? Because from the 4th house, Rahu aspects the 8th house of sudden change and the 12th house of foreign lands. Well, Rahu is in the 4th house of homeland. And Rahu is about foreign things. Rahu is about, exotic foreign places, breaking taboos, breaking boundaries. And so he broke his home boundaries, came to the United States, took on medicine, took on alternative healing. Yet Rahu brings major transformation as well. So this whole process was a major transformation for him. But at the same time, it transformed him being a medical doctor to actually a alternative healer. So see, till 83, Rahu Dasha was from 1965 to in 1983. And in that Dasha, he became a doctor. He became a medicine doctor. But why is it that he took on spirituality while leaving the actual medicines behind? Well, when Jupiter Dasha started, Jupiter's guess where? In the 9th house. And since Jupiter is sitting in the 9th house and Jupiter is sitting in the sign of Libra, he wanted to experience the things of 9th house with balance, with love, with creativity. For him, spirituality was a creative process. And Deepak Chopra is actually very creative. Why? Because his 3rd house and the 5th house, 3rd house, which is the house of media, house of hobbies, house of skills, and then the fifth house of acting, cinema, creative expression are together, which is Mars and Mercury in the ninth house in the sign of Libra. So he's a very creative guy. He can actually be a good actor as well. But he took this, and in the ninth house, which is of spirituality, religion, higher learning, he made those higher learning process, that Jupiterian qualities, into a creative process. He became a very creatively, he creatively took those aspects of his life and brought them to the world. And he made it interesting. That's why he made all this interesting, and he became big with his personality, with the way he presented things. But the Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga that I mentioned earlier occurred because his Venus is in the sign of Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in the sign of Libra, which is ruled by Venus, and they're exchanging houses from 9th to 10th house. And this creates a very spiritual yoga, which I'll discuss more later on. But this creates a yoga of somebody who is here to fulfill the dharma of spirituality, of enlightenment, of knowledge, of higher learning, higher scripture learning. And so when Jupiter Dasha started in 1983, he suddenly changed from being a normal doctor to a doctor of spirituality, higher learning, consciousness, as he says, right? I think Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga has a lot of consciousness in it, and I think that's why it took me to a spirituality and a lot of consciousness around me. Oh, you're done. Okay. Well, so yeah, as I was saying, in Jupiter period, when it came, everything became about learning higher wisdom and teaching. And Jupiter, the key word for Jupiter here is preaching. So Jupiter became a preacher. He preached about all the things. In the same period, Jupiter, who then was aspecting the third house of writing, sitting with the significator of writing Mercury, he wrote many books regarding spirituality. See, couple, when I write from a very philosophical and very heartwarming consciousness level. And so this is why all of my books have my soul in them. And they all have my consciousness in them. That's right. Thank you. I love it. I love consciousness. Don't you love consciousness? I love consciousness. Yes. So, Jupiter period ended in 1999. Then came the Saturn period. And Saturn is another indicator in his chart that makes him a doctor. Why? Because the ascendant lord, which is Aquarius, ruled by Saturn, sitting in the sixth house of diseases, conflicts, debts, and litigation. And since Saturn is a sign of Cancer, Saturn kind of became this nurturing healer. Because sign of Cancer is about nourishment. And so instead of getting a lot of enemies, this alignment took him into medicine, nourishing other people, taking care of other people, people who are sick, people who are unprivileged. And in this time, he did all sorts of world tour. He went to all the third world countries. If you saw his documentary in this Saturn period, which is about separation, like Ketu became separation from, material world. He actually went to, I think it was Indonesia or Malaysia, where he practiced being a monk for literally 2 months. But what about his Venus? His Venus is in the 10th house. And this is why Venus is actually one of the reasons why he's so worldwide. He has such a worldwide fame. And if you watch my video on fame through astrology, Venus, Rahu, and Sun in the 5th, 7th, and 10th house has been a major, significator of most worldwide popular people. And so his is in the sign of Scorpio with Ketu, which is what? Ketu is about separation. It's about letting go of material gains. It's about dissatisfaction. So what you may see here is that, yes, there is some dissatisfaction in love and relationship, but because Venus is with Ketu, that love and that pleasure that Venus wants to seek is through spirituality. For him, that love and lust and that sense of pleasure comes through Ketu qualities, meaning that letting go of things, finding what the truth is. But Venus is saved here. Why? Because Venus is in a yoga with Mars, which is Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga. And since Venus is in yoga, it's being saved. But Venus is receiving an aspect from Rahu, which is about science, which is about sudden expansion. It is literally amplification of qualities of Venus. So he loves with a lot of depth, and his love has a meaning. His sense of pleasure, comes from being very passionate about what he does. And since Venus is in the sign, is in the 10th house of career, his work became his pleasure. And the 10th house Lord, where Venus is sitting in the sign of Scorpio, is in the 9th house of higher learning, of spirituality, of wisdom. So his sense of pleasure, where the foundation of Venus was, became about spirituality and became about letting go of the material pleasure and seeking the spiritual pleasure. So this was the horoscope of Dr. Deepak Chopra. And we didn't go too much into details because limited time. However, since he's at my house, I'm going to take him to a very special place for lunch. It is a very consciousness-filled restaurant. It is a conscious restaurant, actually. You're going to love it there. You're going to love that. That's why especially, I made reservations for that restaurant. I absolutely love the idea of going to a consciousness restaurant because I think every food will be full of consciousness and spirituality and love, and everybody will be singing and dancing, and they will be singing the tune of Krishna. And this is something that is going to be very, affable at a very celluloid level. And it's going to be very much of a happening place on a consciousness level. So I think you made the right decision of inviting me to a consciousness restaurant. Because usually when I'm at a consciousness restaurant, I feel like myself. And this whole time, while you were talking about my horoscope, I just was lost in my world of being in a very consciousness place. And everybody, if you like what you see here, make sure you please subscribe to this channel, because this channel is full of lot of consciousness, and it's full of lot of laughter, but mainly consciousness. So if you like to see more celebrity horoscopes and spiritual gurus horoscopes, or people on a consciousness level, make sure to subscribe at the button below. What? You actually made it this far into the video? All the way to the end? Man, you must be crazy! Well, since you're already crazy enough to go this far, then might as well join the insanity by clicking that little button above where it says subscribe here, or you can subscribe below by that little button that you see below the video. And like I told you, if you want to know where your planets are placed, where your conjunctions are, what aspects you're receiving, what planetary time period you're running through, check out this corner link below, okay? Read the directions there, because when you get the book, my Astrology at the Speed of Light book, and you follow the directions by sending me the email, I send you the link to look at your own chart so you can study everything about you. And if you want to read some more articles on astrology and every little details that I've written on my website, check out this corner link below. And this will take you to my website and to my article page where I've written tons of stuff, okay? Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with some more insane video. Bye-bye.